Yeah, we're super excited. We've been looking forward to this call all week. I'll just get this kicked off and started right away. Let me make sure we're recording. I want to welcome everybody to the call tonight. I know we usually do our calls Wednesday at noon Mountain Time, 2 o'clock Eastern, but we were super excited to have the opportunity to have Darren. So we adjusted our schedule to be able to adapt and be here with Darren tonight. So from my understanding, we have about 30 minutes with Darren. We want to respect his time, so I'm not going to talk a whole bunch, but I want to give him a quick introduction before we let him take it over and answer some questions that we've submitted to him, share any part of his story, any knowledge that he wants to with us. But I've met Darren a few times at Beachbody events. I'll just give you a little bit about him so you can understand. He is the creator of Shakeology, the visionary of Shakeology, I guess you could say, and also of the brand Super Life. He's the author of the book, The Super Life, which is an amazing book. I got it when it first came out, and I've read that book. He's known uniquely throughout the health and nutrition and wellness community as an exotic superfood expert. And like he's the guy coined and named as the superfood hunter. So I love watching his videos, the videos that I've seen on YouTube of him out discovering new superfoods and understanding how they can help us, how they can help heal the body. And that's just been his passion. It's his interest ever since, I believe, a college football injury drove him into wanting to understand how to heal his body. And from there, that's where he wanted to learn to use Western medicine treatments, or after Western medicine treatments had failed to address the healing that he needed to go through. He really went out and studied and changed his whole course of his study in college, and has gone on to what we know now after 20 plus years of traveling and studying superfood and nutrition to become the man that he's been. Shakeology, you'll have to remind me, but I believe it's been probably 9 years or so since Shakeology came out. He can share with you guys exactly how long it's been here. But my personal love for Shakeology is, I've had two today. I had a tropical vegan for breakfast, and I was just craving something in the afternoon and had a chocolate vegan. And I've been using Shakeology. I haven't missed a single day in over 6.5 years of drinking the shake that Darren has created. So with that being said, Darren, I'm going to pass the time over to you and just let you share your wisdom and knowledge with us tonight.
Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate that. You hit all the major marks there. Yeah. So, I think before I jump in the questions, I'll just say this a couple things. And my desire, my need, and it turned into my purpose. My DNA is about helping as many people as possible. But that really only came about because I needed to help myself first. And I think that's an important distinction because I was needing some things, and therefore I said, I'm not going to just be okay with this. And I started studying and being an advocate for my own education and health, and it turned into my passion. So I've been over 35 countries, mountaintops and Amazon and all of that stuff, not to have a title of a superfood hunter, but really to take responsibility for using these things. Because my point of view was, if I was going to formulate with these things, if I'm going to ingest them myself and I'm going to tell other people about them and share that with other people, then I want to make sure that I know what's going on with them, learn about how they use them culturally, and many of these ingredients that are in Shakeology have been used for thousands and thousands of years by Ayurveda and the traditional Indian natural healing mechanisms, and also traditional Chinese medicine. So there's a lot that goes into this cacophony of Shakeology that just kind of shows up in a pretty bag on your doorstep. There's a lot of testing that goes into making sure that what isn't supposed to be there isn't. our toxic world these days, and also the active compounds of what's supposed to be in each ingredient. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I may have started it, but Beachbody's R&D team and quality assurance team is continuously on a day-to-day basis making sure that that shake is fantastic and one of the best in the world. So I just want to say that because there's a lot of great people. I just got off the call with our research and development team, Richard Andrew and Mike Wilson, and these guys are kicking butt. And they're in the DNA of Beachbody, and the people doing the work is super important, or else a product like this couldn't continue to be because it's so complicated. So anyway, I'll jump into these questions. These are some heavy, big questions. I appreciate it. They're just big. So I'll do the best I can to give you a little snippets of information, but just know that I can't fully answer some of these questions because they're like a full workshop. But the first question I got was, when someone gets super bad cramps almost right away, even with a half a serving, or they down served some of those with Shakeology, what is happening? And is that a type of intolerance or allergic reaction? Great question. So I can't answer this question without bringing up a topic that is all throughout the culture of us eating. Largely intolerances don't they're happening on an alarming rate right now. So when someone reacts to Shakeology, my first thought is, oh, they're compromised. Now, I'm not saying as a blanket statement. Legitimately, people can have allergies, intolerances to all kinds of foods, and I'll get into some of the reasons why that is. But so you have to respect where you're at. Usually, what's been happening is you have 25 to 45 million people just in the United States, and I think that's underreported in terms of diagnosis, but people who are suffering from irritable bowel syndromes. That could be Crohn's, lupus, colitis. All of these types of things are just another way of saying you have inflammation of the gut. Many things are happening and you don't even know it, right? Unfortunately, 2 out of 3 of those people suffering from gut issues are women. And there's some link to almost the guy's iron gut that probably from our ancestors, we could just kind of eat whatever and keep moving on. And women, because of hormonal, a lot of hormonal shift, obviously on a monthly basis, there's some sensitivities there. But so I have to bring this up because understand that when inflammation is high in the digestive system, really the outside here, the food that we have, and once we ingest it, once that goes to the digestive system, it's supposed to break things down into the smallest parts, right? So has to be on a cellular level. Whatever protein you take in, the body has to be efficient at breaking it down into amino acids. The amino acids then go through the gut lining, which is, by the way, 1 cell thick. 1 cell basically allows what is out here in your body. So can you imagine then that if 1 cell of a lining to be absorbed into the body and absorbed in the bloodstream is compromised, then it can cause a whole host of issues. So there's many people that are suffering from irritable bowel syndrome. I would just say inflammation of the digestive system. When that's happening, that could be stress, that could be over or under the counter drugs of any kind. That could be exposure and sugary foods and processed foods, 10 years of that. You don't even know it's happening. Once the digestive system is off, your ability to break down many things is continuing to be compromised, especially when you're taking in things that your body has to work really hard to do and break down, flesh of another animal and meat and dairy and fish and eggs. All of that stuff is hard for the body to break down. So if it's compromised, it's going to be increasingly causing inflammation. So obviously, this is a very big topic, and I bring this up because if someone is taking in Shakeology, and of course, this is an individual basis, so it's hard to answer these things from a broad perspective, so I have to actually take a broad perspective to answer it appropriately, and that is, once someone takes this in and they're having a reaction like that, I would bet, from my professional opinion, that those people, I can't say for that individual, but those people have a compromised digestive system. And their list of things that they're able to eat without having a reaction, whether small or large, is only increasing until they deal with the inflammatory disturbance that's going on in their body. The last thing I will say, because this is obviously a very big topic, it's probably not the last thing I'll say about it, but one thing that is just now starting to come out, it's less about, processed food is just bad, right? So we all know that. And that can cause a whole host of chronic issues. And if you do that over time, definitely can cause issues. But there's something that's even more insidious, and that is, since 1970s, they use this thing called glyphosate. These are my opinions, not Beachbody, but the question was asked, so I'm kind of stepping into this area. Glyphosate is a main active compound in pesticides and herbicides, ready Roundup stuff. Now, it's growing evidence that this stuff destroys beneficial bacteria. It causes inflammation. There's all kinds of disruptions that this causes. So I say that because if we've been exposed in normal, conventional, now what's normal and conventional of food production, you're having hundreds of millions of tons of pesticides thrown on our food. It is and will continue to cause disruptions in our digestive system. So I say that because it's important for us to get how important it is to be aware of that. Because if you're just looking at, oh, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, that's not getting at the cause of some of this digestive system. So the bottom line is that obviously start looking up and doing things and not getting yourself exposed to pesticides and herbicides. Don't gamble thinking that just because you're at a nice restaurant, just because this package or this bottle or this pretzel or Pringle or all that stuff has your best interest in mind, that those things can cause some severe digestive issues, whereby when you take something in like Shakeology, you have a reaction that's not good, in the sense that your body is compromised. So these super nutrients that are trying to get in your body can't really get in. It's happening on a small scale all the time, but when you're kind of hit with prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, all the phytonutrients, you're getting hit with some incredible nutrients. So anyway, it's a big question, and I would say if people are having adverse reaction, they should definitely reach out and find a functional medicine doctor, a naturopathic doctor, or an MD that has significant nutritional training, so that you can start actually healing without drugs. So that's my point of view. Like I said, it's a big topic. One day I can get into it and do a longer thing, but just understand that it's not just about reacting to some of these great botanicals. It's about some underlying issues. Okay, so instead of saying 15 minutes on each question, I'll try to move on. Okay, so next question is how to incorporate these products, our products, this is another big question, with which how to incorporate our products and which with others to add to Shakeology to help older women with menopause symptoms, since it becomes a whole ball game trying to increase energy, fight weight loss, all that stuff. So basically, the question is asking, what do we do with people who are entering into menopause, because they're fighting all kinds of weight gains, they're fighting hormonal shifts, they're fighting energy, they're fighting sleep, they're fighting all of these things. Number one is, from a lifestyle perspective, do the best thing you can to get sleep, drink good water, make sure that water is uberly filtered, so you're not getting exposed to those all those chlorines and fluorides and contaminants. But some of the biggest things is we really need to stay away from these lifestyle exposures of PFCs, PFCAs, all of these from plastics, all of these types of compounds that are estrogen mimickers. And it's happening, as the girls growing up are hitting puberty at ages of 9, 10, 11, because of these estrogen endocrine disruptors in our environment. So the biggest thing is with women, to support them in menopause and going through these things. Obviously, from an adaptogenic point of view, Shakeology has some incredible building blocks to help mitigate and regulate the body, right? So if you want to blow your own mind, if you wouldn't mind receiving a little homework, 5 minutes, pick one of the adaptogens. Pick ashwagandha, astragalus, schizandra, cordyceps, rhodiola is in the boost, maca. Pick one of those. Spend 5 minutes on looking at the benefits of those things, right? And it will blow your mind. So we have an incredible group of adaptogens that are helping your body deal with a lot of stress. What are adaptogens? Adaptogens are not compounds that force your body into something. It helps mitigate and regulate the body per a body's own need, right? So if I take an adaptogen, I will receive benefits different than, say, the person next to me, because those compounds in, say, maca or schizandra are there within the plant, helping the plant survive and deal with stress. But that great synergy that we have with plants and the human kingdom, those adaptogens help that body. So of course, I've helped women on menopause, and adaptogens are huge. So look those up. And then of course, you can get with your functional medicine doctors and even find levels of adaptogenic herbs that could potentially help you out more. But the very, very important thing is be careful of that non-stick surfaces of cooking ware. Stay away from products with like stain guard, the petrochemicals they use as fire retardancies on furnitures, on carpets. All of these things are massive endocrine hormonal disruptors. So the best thing you can do is stay away from those types of things. Stay away from consuming, all of us, not just women on menopause. The good thing about natural health is when you do these things, they help anybody, right? So especially the sensitivity of exposure over a lifetime, make sure to not expose yourself to plastics, eating food out of plastic, having food with heat in it or with plastic, water bottles. I know it's extremely difficult, but make sure you're having a good home filter system and take water in glass whenever you can control it. So again, big topic, but Shakeology, obviously, I can't say because I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not treating someone individually, but the adaptogenic blends, the balanced kind of filling the gaps of phytonutrient, micronutrient um, idea for us of formulating this thing is super good for the foundation of anybody, and certainly a woman going through menopause. So I hope that was helpful. Again, it's a big thing, but things like house cleaners, right? Stay away from those chemical house cleaners. Hell, baking soda and vinegar is a age-old, powerful cleansing agents that can save yourself from a toxic exposure in your own home. You know that we get more toxic exposure inside our house than we actually do outside. So you want to mitigate that as much as possible. Okay, so let me see here. Number 3. What if any adaptogenic question? So what if any other adaptogens can be added? How much and how often would I suggest? Well, that's impossible for me to say because we're an individual basis, but it's one of the reasons why we created the boosts. So focused energy, I believe, is one of a very special formula that is not getting the attention it deserves. I was playing around with that formula for about 10 years. That has a whole host of other adaptogenic herbs, 2 types of ginseng that have been used for tens of thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine, rhodiola from the area of Indonesia and Southeast Asia. It's one of the great modulators of stress, brain activators, which is why we called it focused energy. So we have it at our fingertips, a boost to help with adaptogenic herbs, more so. And of course we have guarana, which is the Amazon's alert caffeine full compound. So the other things I will say, adaptogens are my favorite classification of botanicals because they're kind of nature's medicine chest, right? So again, the homework for you is look up, Schizandra. I was in China in a panda protected area hunting down Schizandra, and that Schizandra is building like the five life forces within the body. So the thing I would say about that is every adaptogen that is in Shakeology can be utilized in an individual basis if you feel your body and or your doctor feels you need it. I use adaptogens every day. I use focus energy. I boost it. I take it on its own. I boost it in Shakeology. I add more. I just, there's just no real downside to these adaptogens. So again, from a legal perspective, I can't really get into telling you what to do with them. I would love to, but I can say that I'm an avid fan. They feel like my children, and no one is really better than the other, which is why we have we literally have the greatest adaptogens in there. I mean, Chaga is my dog's name, so that will give you an idea of how revered I am of that godfather of mushrooms. That one's a fantastic one to take on a regular basis. It kind of has a little of that woody kind of coffee-like flavor. So that's a fantastic one that if you wanted to take more. So anyway, that's about as much as I can say about it, but let me just move on then to number 4. Okay, so vegan Shakeology formulas. It's a good question. Why is there no added B12? Everyone is different. Well, and there is so if there's one required vitamin, vegan people, B12 is one that definitely is something that we need to be aware of. Let me just answer that in a couple of different ways. Great question. We are on an individual basis. In the grand scheme of things, you need very little. You just need consistent amounts of it. So let's understand B12 a second. Again, these are so good questions. Each question I could take up to 30 minutes without even trying. So, this is going to have you guys wanting more. Call me back another time. So B12 actually is bioaccumulated in meat. It is not coming from meat. Okay, so people say, well, vegan and they're lacking B12. Well, the meat you eat is bioaccumulated. It's accumulating in whatever animal you're eating, right? So it's not the source of B12. Okay, B12 source is from the soil. It's from the microbiological system. So by just growing plants, and if I don't clean them enough, I'm getting micrograms of B12 in healthy soil. The problem is that the food that we're eating has been monocropped. The microbiological activity in soil has gone down. And by the time it gets to you, it's traveled a very long distance, and unfortunately, some food gets radiated and uberly cleaned, so we're actually not in touch with that soil. So in fact, from not fully cleaned organic soil, you get the microbiologics that help to create and promote B12. So, I'm a vegan. You don't have to be. It's not my pitch for being vegan, but we have to understand I am a person that wants to eliminate the middlemen. So I'm not going to go to animals to get B12 when the animals are not producing the B12. So to answer your question, we're all on an individual basis. And at this point, because of such a small amount, we decided not to put it in into the vegan formulas. We decided that all the vegan formulas, we would leave the micronutrient richness to the whole ingredients themselves and not add in the additional vitamins and minerals. So it's really up to you. I always eat the vegan formulas. I eat a wide variety of plants. I get tested every year just because I think that's appropriate in this day and age to make sure where your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients are. And I don't require to take extra of some of the vitamins and minerals. So we decided to leave it kind of in its, Isabel and I decided to leave the vegan formulas as is, as a plant produced them in that formula. So anyway, that's kind of the answer to that. And also there's some great studies that show that circulating B12 with vegans is higher than the circulating usable B12 in meat eaters. So there's some other pathway stuff there that just because you're eating meat doesn't mean you will be able to use some of that B12 as well. But again, big topic. Okay, so let's cruise on here. Is there one question that's better than the other? Let's see here. I can also look if you guys want to. Let me see. Do you have one, Scotty, that you want to
I got one
Obviously,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna, you can read that one you were going to read.
No, I was just going to say I think everyone's aware of now that the vegan cafe latte and vanilla will be in Canada January 26th.
Yes, awesome. That's good news. I see some clapping going on in the audience there. I got one last quick question. It was kind of addressed in the first topic that you answered, and then we'll let you go for the night. But I have someone on. I'm streaming live somewhere else as well, so we got more than just the 47 on here. They asked the
Yeah.
question, what is, or their wife was able to drink Shakeology for a while, which was happened to be over a year, and then all of a sudden started feeling nauseous
Mm.
as of recently. What would your suggestion be in? I I know you don't understand her personally or any of her other
Yeah.
habits, but what would be the first place you would go for an answer for that person specifically?
There's so many variables. It would be impossible to say because you don't know if the person is stressed, if they've eaten something that has derailed their digestive system to then put them in that answer to the first question. So now they have inflammatory issues in their bloating, gas, all of these things, disruptions in their normal ways of metabolizing and breaking down food and uptake, nausea, uh, that to me signals potentially um, some hormonal fluctuations, and the hormonal fluctuations can throw off everything. That can throw off digestion. That can throw off blood pressure. So I would look into thyroid, hypothyroidism potentially. Check the blood pressure. Those are the things that I would look towards first. So you can't blow off these kinds of things. The body never makes a mistake. It always is giving you information. Unfortunately, our systems are geared to just taking away your systems. So it's very important for someone like this to listen to what is the overall message there, that in all intents and purposes, she shouldn't be nauseous from taking in a superfood such as this, but she is. So then it's not necessarily it that's causing the nausea, but potentially a systemic problem. Very, very rarely, um, when all systems are working and the digestive system is not compromised, that someone would be reacting to one of these ingredients. There's, of course, things like peanuts, aflatoxins that people legitimately can die from, right? So that exists. So you don't want to rule that out. But I think the point is that we need to not blow off these reactions and start working with people that are not going to throw a pill at you and not try to get rid of your symptoms per se, and start peeling back the layers so that you can get to the core of optimizing your body. But for this person, I would say there's a hormonal fluctuation that doesn't feel right. There's a potential thyroid, hypothyroidism, blood pressure. But again, there's so many variables that it would be hard to. But you definitely don't want to be doing something like drinking Shakeology and having it cause you this issue. Don't demonize the thing that, don't demonize the symptom causer, but try to get at the bigger issue, because these things won't go away. You can take all the drugs you want to make symptoms go away, but what's happening is they're a beast that's being fed that will pop up later. So I think the mentality around just healthcare, which is why, listen, you guys are coaches. This is something that it just seems to me that learning and educating around health is super. Uh, uh, it's beneficial because we all have bodies, and it's also, you don't have to be a nutritionist, but also supporting people way beyond uh, um, just as care of people. Because if I heard that person, I would shift into a gear of like, I don't care about Shakeology right now. I care about this person, and this person, these are the places that I would offer concern, and then it's up to them to do what they want. That person could maybe then go figure that out for themselves if they chose, come back to you in a year and go, hey, you know what? Thanks for supporting me on that, not pushing your agenda. And I did get it solved. I was low in my thyroid. I did get it corrected. And now, you know what? I want to try that Shakeology. So that to me is big picture type of interactions with people, of kind of heart first, care first. And then people will pick up on that. Because listen, I've never sold anything in my life. I've never sold Shakeology. I share about it, and if people don't want it at that point, well, that's on them. So anyway, a
Absolutely.
little tangent, but I hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that helped a bunch, Darren. We appreciate you sharing your time with us. And if you ever want to share any extra knowledge, just let me know and we'll set it up and you can talk about whatever you want to us because we love learning. I love the advice you gave at the end about putting people first and getting just the overall message about getting to the root of the issues and truly helping people. And I love that you're doing that for us and for people all around you. And we'll take that example from you and go out and help other people as well. So thanks, Darren. Before I let you go, I got to remind everybody we have Isabel, co-creator, with us on Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Friday night. So Friday date night is a call with Isabel. She works very closely with Darren on all the stuff that you learned about today. So thank you guys,
Yeah,
and we'll see
she's
you
the
there.
best. All right. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.